Hey guys, it's been a while. If you can tell by the video, this has been what's unfortunately keeping me busy. It was originally going to start as a short story about living with vertigo, but that took quite the twist. So let's start from the beginning, shall we? It was in November of 2019 where I was at work doing some filing and something felt really off. Could almost say I had a spider sense going. I felt like I was floating, that my brain was lagging. I didn't like what was happening. So I took a seat. I messaged my boss saying, hey, something ain't right. I'm not feeling too good. It's like everything's spinning. And my boss just simply replied, want to call an ambulance? Thinking that was the best choice for this really weird moment, I decided to call. At first, I was having a really hard time walking. I couldn't even stand up alone. If this is what it feels to be drunk, I never want to drink. Seriously. I had these two buff men carry my fluffy butt out of here into the ambulance, and then they started questioning me. The men stated that I'm probably just stressed and to just go back home, relax, and maybe find a new job because this one is apparently giving me that much stress. They didn't want to give me a ride home, so they told me my choices are either go home or I can get a ride to the hospital. And seeing as I could barely walk, I didn't want to risk taking the bus home, and these men seemed to have thought my issue wasn't a big deal, so I just got back to work. Within minutes of them leaving, my eyes started jolting back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. The dizziness I felt was even more intense, that I felt like I was being flung into space. I started immediately projectile vomiting, and a second ambulance was called for me right away. So the second ambulance came in, they rushed me into the hospital. It was the worst ride ever. Every single bump, every single turn made me feel like I was on a scary coaster ride. The medical staff put me some liquid gravel in me, and that made me almost pass out. I was at the hospital for hours, just waiting for my turn. And during this time, nothing was getting better. I just got hooked up on these IV drips, and they were so cold, I had to wrap my coat around my arm to heat it up. Like, it hurt how cold it was. My boss came to me after her shift to drive me home when I was done. The doctor looked at me, made a series of tests, and decided that I had PPV vertigo. So something about crystals being dislodged in the ears, and so I had to do this Epley maneuver to fix it. It's a weird movement to try to recalibrate the crystals in the ears so they go back to where they belong, but no matter how many times I tried it, it never fixed it. And since that day, I've been having multiple dizzy spells every single day, feeling awful and wishing I was back to normal. But this was my new normal, having vertigo every day, praying that I wouldn't end up at the hospital again. So fast forward to August 2020, and I was heading to work, and the moment I stepped off the bus, it felt like the floor disappeared, and I got triggered. It felt like some PTSD moment from that day in 2019. I figured perhaps it was from the stress, and I should just have to try to focus on my breathing and see if maybe it was my anxiety. But that didn't work. So perhaps it would go back to normal once I sat down. But the moment I turned to enter my office, the dizzy spell got worse. And I'm like, oh no. I sped walked to my cubicle trying to calm myself down, but I could feel my head spinning and feeling lightheaded, and my balance was starting to lag again. I quickly grabbed all my stuff, got to the front desk, and I told them, please call me an ambulance right now. She looked at me confused, and I told her, the day that I was hospitalized is happening again. I know it. I grabbed myself a plastic bag because I knew the steps were coming, and like clockwork, the dizziness got worse, and I couldn't walk anymore, and my eyes started jittering back and forth again. I was crying in fear because I knew that horrible feeling was going to hit hard soon. And my coworkers tried to calm me down. We got the ambulance. And this time I had female medical staff, and they were on the ball. They immediately put me on a stretcher, and she saw my eyes, and it kind of freaked her out. And she said she's never seen a case of nystagmus that bad before. So now I knew what was happening with my eyes. Same thing that was happening where I was at the hospital, but they put me in a room quicker because I started vomiting uncontrollably, which thank God I brought that plastic bag with me. The male doctor looked at me and asked me why I was in today. And I told him this has happened to me before and that the previous doctor told me I had vertigo, but how I tried like Gravol or the Epley maneuver to try to help me and nothing worked. So he just looked at me dead in the face asking, so what do you want me to do about it? And I'm like, well, fix me. I don't know why this is happening. And he just bluntly told me he'd give me some Gravol, and once I could walk again, I could go home. I was stumped. He didn't care. He didn't see the need to see what else could be that's causing me to get hospitalized. I had my friend give me a ride back home, and I started doing research on what nystagmus was and what could cause it. And one of the things were a tumor. And I'm like, okay, so my mom died from a tumor, so maybe I'm just overthinking it. I hope so. So I called my family doctor and told her everything, and right away she was suspicious of everything. But, you know, as a doctor would, to try to play it off cool and relaxed, she just made me do MRIs for my brain just to rule out the scary stuff, you know? Within 2 days, I got the results and she wanted to see me as soon as possible, which I thought, well, that's suspicious. Because usually she's always busy for appointments and it takes a while. So the fact that I could be seen in 2 days, red flags. So I got to her office and she told me that I had at least 5 tumors in my head. So not only did I thought one tumor was bad enough and worst case scenario, life decided to give me the jackpot and give me multiple tumors in my head. Obviously, I broke down in tears and I tried to keep my mind in the game to see what we could do to fix this. The doctor reassured me that the tumor that I have are benign, so it's not what my mom had, so I will live. But I do have to keep an eye out because if they keep growing, it can be lethal. So I was referred to a neurologist over there and I got sent to do more MRIs, but this time with this weird dye. And with the results, it turns out that I actually have more than 5 tumors. Once we did the second MRI with the weird dye making tumors light up like a Christmas tree, the doctor kept pointing each tumor like, here's one, here's one, here's one, there's a little tiny one there. Oh, and there's one here, and there's one here, and here, and here. And she just kept going and going and going. And I did not know what to feel. So she sent me to a specialist, but in Toronto, because she has officially diagnosed me with neurofibromatosis type 2. A super rare genetic mutation that creates multiple schwannomas and meningioma tumors. Lucky me. So she sent me to the NF2 clinic, which NF2 is short form for neurofibromatosis type 2, mouthful, I know, which specializes in cases like mine. While I was waiting for the specialist's referral, I had to do more MRIs, and this time of my spine. I finally did get the phone call from the specialist, but the doctor in Toronto simply said she didn't want to touch me until my tumors affected my facial nerves and speech, which honestly, I'm freaking horrified that they want to wait until I'm either disfigured or aren't able to speak anymore. Like, wouldn't you want to fix that beforehand? So in this case, I'm trying to push my family doctor and the neurologist I've seen here to try to get them to approve me for this gamma knife surgery. And the gamma knife surgery, from what I researched, are these tiny lasers that pinpoint where the tumor is to try to kill it. And apparently the lasers by themselves are harmless, but together they're deadly. So we're now in January 2022, and I still haven't received my scan for my spine. But I did get in touch with my family doctor, and she has confirmed I have more friends. Something about multiple small lesions and something about a lot of nerve sheath tumors. Needless to say, I feel like a ticking time bomb because I want to go get these surgeries before I move to the US, where I don't have free healthcare, and to finally be with my fiance. I'm scared that if our health system in Canada takes too long, I'll just have to get these in the US. And I fear that if I do, I'm going to be the reason why we're in debt because I want to survive longer. I'm terrified and anxious to get this done as soon as possible, so this is why I haven't been able to post videos in such a long time. I will try to keep you guys updated and also keep this as a reminder for all of you. If your doctors don't take you serious, keep fighting. Keep nagging at them. Keep going until someone takes you serious. Otherwise, you're going to be like me and misdiagnosed and pushed aside. I wish you guys good luck and good health, and until next time, I love you.